You're watching Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. We're still in the mood for Budget 2022, but it's not just that. We're still trying to get a gauge on how businesses in and around the country is operating. Everybody's embracing a post-MCO life. And of course, a lot of companies are asking the employees to return back to the office, but many of them are still adapting to the new normal that we are facing right now, including that of treating COVID-19 as an endemic. But one company that is in focus for this evening is, of course, Bayer. Leong Sook Fun, the managing director of Bayer Malaysia Sdn Bhd. She is the first female MD for the Malaysian company, and we're very pleased and very honored to have the option to speak with her right now. Sook Fun, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Ibrahim. Thanks for having me. So firstly, maybe a little bit of a correction. The first Malaysian MD, Malaysian women MD.
Yeah. So that's the idea, because we're also trying to talk about how companies like Bayer is trying to move forward in terms of embracing diversity, trying to ensure that the employees are coming back to the office in a safe and orderly manner, while at the same time trying to be optimizing profitability and efficiency as well. Before we jump into all that, maybe you can give a quick background into Bayer Malaysia as well as Bayer International as well.
Okay. So firstly, Bayer is a global company with more than 150 years of history, with core competencies in life science fields, mainly in healthcare and nutrition. Our products or services are designed to serve the most basic human needs, basically health and food, where we contribute to a world by striving to prevent and cure disease. We improve everyday health, and also we help feed a growing population, and we do this by delivering breakthrough innovations in healthcare and agriculture through our pharmaceutical, crop science, and consumer health divisions, and we contribute where in a world where diseases are not only treated, but we can effectively prevent or cure them, and people can take care of their health more effectively. And we also help to ensure there's enough food produced for all in the world, while respecting the planet natural resources. And we do this with the business growth and sustainability to go hand in hand. So in short, we believe that we contribute to health for all and hunger for none, and this is our vision.
A lot of the folks in the country is, while they may be familiar with Bayer, they're very familiar with Monsanto. And Monsanto has been acquired by Bayer in 2018, and it does come under your crop sciences division. Talk a little bit more about how things have been for the past 3 years in post-acquisition of Monsanto.
Yep. So Monsanto, as you've mentioned, is part of our crop science division, right? So in Bayer AG, we actually operates on 3 different business anchor, 3 business, as I said, pharmaceutical, crop science, and consumer health. So Monsanto is part of the crop science division. It's a business where involves in seeds, innovative crop protection products, and also non-agricultural pest management solutions. And at the same time, we provide extensive customer service, right, for modern and sustainable agriculture, and support farmers to have more sustainable income. And that is our largest division globally. And we also have pharmaceutical division on top of our crop science. That is also a very important division which focus on prescription products. Especially we are core in cardiology and women healthcare, and specialty therapeutics in the areas of oncology and ophthalmology. And the division also represents the radiology business unit, which markets contrast enhanced diagnostic imaging equipment with necessary contrast agents. And last but not least, we also have the consumer health division, which I head personally. And it's mainly on OTC and non-prescription products in categories of nutritionals, dermatology, cough and cold allergy, and these products include global and locally known brands such as Redoxon, Berocca, Claritin, Bepanthen, Canesten, and our business is supported by enabling function which serves the entire group. So Monsanto is also part of this supporting function as well.
You see, you've been serving, not just you, Bayer has been serving or trying to address the critical elements of the needs of the market, from pharmaceutical to crops, for the longest of time. But the importance of such a company during a pandemic is even more enhanced and even more pronounced. Talk to us through how the company has been working through the pandemic ever since we've been hit in March last year all the way until today.
Yeah. So I took on this job right in 2019 as the MD. I was appointed right, and just shortly a couple of months we were hit by COVID. Yeah, and as you can imagine, it was I was still in my onboarding right. It was a huge learning curve, and when the pandemic first struck, yeah, when the government implemented the first lockdown, we were all definitely caught unaware. Yeah, and every organization has our own response, to tackling the pandemic, and Bayer's approach is very much anchored to our vision, our purpose, right, which is health for all, hunger for none, because our primary priorities in keeping our employees safe and healthy, right, and also keeping our businesses, the pharmaceutical, consumer health, and crop science operations running, so that patients, customers, farmers, right, can rely on us to serve them, yeah, and to make sure that they can also serve the consumer on their health and nutritional needs, yeah. This was not an easy task, as you can imagine, right, because everything was like a standstill during the first lockdown. We have about 240 people staff right around Malaysia, and a host of partners right that rely on us to serve on essential needs, because we are in the business of health and nutrition, yeah. So globally, Bayer was also following the development very closely, and then since the spread happened in 2019 itself, so there was a lot of guidance and support from global, which is really helpful. But in Malaysia, we actually prepared, to safeguard right at the event of the pandemic initially, right, by already activating a crisis management team as early as 2020 before the lockdown. And of course, it was led by myself with a cross functional team, as you can imagine, from health, safety, HR, communications, IT, finance, right, and all the commercial leads, right. There's a cross functional team to represent. And by the end of quarter 1 last year, right, we were already tasked to activate and meet regularly. So we were meeting like every bi-weekly to assess the situation and outline SOPs, right, which was really focused on three major areas. So firstly was really on the employees. Whatever we do, we make sure that the employees are safe at work, physically and well-being, yeah, and also they are always making sure that they can stay safe at home as well. Secondly was business continuity. Yeah, we had to make sure that we secure supply chain, minimize internal external business disruption, so that we can continue to deliver on our purpose, yeah, and our promise to our customers and patients and farmers. And of course, the third thing was we do the first and two within the framework of compliance, because we have to ensure that we comply to laws, yeah, by the government, and also we are socially responsible to adhere to all the health and security guidelines, yeah, by also keeping our communication regular with our employees. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to highlight that you're correct in terms of correcting me early on in the show that you are the first Malaysian to lead Bayer Malaysia. Do you feel that there's an added element of local knowledge, local market information that is a little bit more nuanced compared to your predecessors, because you're from here, you know the issues here, you know what needs to be solved here, and therefore it's a little bit easier for you to address these kind of solutions?
Um, Definitely, I would say there's some element of that aspect. I mean, having myself being a born and bred Malaysian, right? Many years I've studied here, I've grown up here, right? There is that probably a little bit more affinity to the local culture, yeah, and of course that helped a little bit to as I grow into the role. And I've also been in the company for many years before before being appointed at MD. I mean, I graduated with a degree in technological management from University of Technology Malaysia. Basically, it's a management course, right, with exposure in technological scientific aspects, in engineering environment. And as you know, UTM was a core focus on engineering subjects, right? So that gave me a little bit of an understanding of science, yeah. And throughout my career, I've actually had participated in various marketing and sales programs, right? And in Bayer, more recently in business and strategy and digital transformation programs from the prestigious IMD Business School. So that was a little bit of an arts, right? So that helped, yeah, coupled with my local and understanding, and of course being very intrigued with both arts and science, right? It helped me to further drive my passion with Bayer. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with many multinationals before that. Yeah, in Malaysia as well with FMCG, Unilever, Coca-Cola, right? And I've joined healthcare by joining Roche initially, which sparked my career purpose, right? In the area of related to science. And I joined Bayer in 2005. as the marketing head for consumer care when Bayer acquired the over-the-counter business from Roche. So after a few years, I was promoted to become the country head for the consumer health division, initially from Malaysia, but later on that it was expanded. My role was expanded a little bit more because there were acquisition of allergy brands in Bayer, and they gave me Brunei and followed by Singapore in 2018. And yeah, I still hold these roles today for consumer health business. And then having that passion and delivered that strong record in Malaysia, I was given the opportunity to impact, the wider Bayer organization by appointed the MD in 2019 second
Yeah.
half.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go for one short break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Bayer Malaysia. Thanks for staying on. I have with me on the line Leong Sook Fun, the Managing Director of Bayer Malaysia, Sdn Bhd. Sook Fun, we need to talk a little bit more about the items that you mentioned earlier on, which is ensuring that the safety of your employees is paramount. But more importantly, I want to touch on ensuring that the supply chain is unencumbered. I don't know whether your problems of securing the supply chain is affected, but certainly most companies, when they come on my show, this would be one of the biggest pain points, at least in the most of last year and some parts of this year. It's going to be a big issue. Did you guys go through the same problem?
I would have to honestly say yes. I mean, it would be impossible to not be impacted right by the COVID. Right, generally, COVID has exposed the fragility of networks, yeah, and securing healthcare and food supply locally and globally. Yeah, and you remember during the lockdown, yeah, there was only two essential sectors. The strict lockdown last year, right, that was allowed to operate. Typically, it was the clinics, the hospitals, and also groceries or food restaurants that allow for takeouts, right? So it shows that advancing health and nutrition for the people around the world, which is our core competency, was very important. And hence, while we are well positioned for that, right, we also had to clearly prioritize. Yeah, we had to make sure that we pivot that to best meet the needs of our patients and our customers. We had to prioritize firstly, obviously from pharma, right? Life-saving medicines. Yeah, you cannot do everything. You need to actually make sure that what's relevant and what's important first. In the consumer health, right, we of course prioritize self-care solutions, which are really supporting immunity boosting and prevention solution to keep consumers healthy. And of course, in crop science as well, right, we have to make sure that we pivot the way to work, right, to meet the needs of our farmers. Yeah, when we do that, right, at the end of the day, the backdrop is really about our people. Because we just not it's not about protecting them, right? It's also making sure that they have the right tools, yeah, to actually work remotely. Even the supply chain team, right, they are given necessary lead time to plan and also work with the logistics department, right? And as far as our distribution partners, also we had to work with them to understand their SOP as well. When there was movement control restrictions, where halted traveling, we couldn't do in-person meeting, right? We had to pivot to technology. And in terms of online, right, we have to scale up digital capabilities significantly, right, because consumers' behaviors are moving to e-commerce, as you know, right. So it was again, right, putting ourselves in that sense, yeah. And I'll elaborate a little bit more detail on that, right. So in crop science, supply chain aside, right, we also make sure that we use camera, drones, and handheld devices, right, for our virtual field tours. Because in crop science, you must remember, right, the farmers in the field, you cannot do a virtual detailing call with them, yeah, because it's very different from doctors, right? So we had to have a small team on site to have real time virtual observations, yeah, so that we can actually guide the farmers to still do their harvesting properly and then seeding, right, so that it can also protect their income during the pandemic, yeah. And in pharma, pre-pandemic, two-thirds of our employees was doing in-person doctors face-to-face engagement. Yeah, two-thirds. With the lockdown, we have to quickly turn into virtual platform to engage the healthcare professionals. Yeah, and our first remote e-detailing was conducted just 2 weeks after the first MCO. So speed and agility was very important. And last but not least, in consumer health, right? Yes, I mean, we had some stock out issue as well. Yeah, most of the time our vitamins were sold out significantly. because our factory was in Indonesia, and as you can imagine, the entire ASEAN was undergoing COVID, right? But again, we again had to slowly work with our supply chain to plan the forecasting appropriately to make sure that we had the most important products like vitamin C's, to be prioritized. Although it was still very much difficult, yeah. We drive relevance to make sure that people are still, felt that they are supported, and brands like Redoxon, which is a vitamin C, are still there to support them when they need us most. Yeah.
You know, when people talk about Bayer, people really need to know the history of Bayer. You guys have been around for the longest of time. Your first and perhaps best known product is aspirin, and people say that as if it's a, it's a common drug use household name already, right? My question to you is this: can you project what will happen in the next? I'm not asking 100 years from now, but maybe 2 or 3 years from now. Do you feel that, say, for instance, telemedicine, the one that you alluded to earlier, is going to be a big thing? Do you feel that people want healthier food, better seeding from, say, for instance, Monsanto? Whatever the solution is, it has to be a movement towards a healthier lifestyle, and a lifestyle where we know our health. Is that the clear trajectory of where we are, particularly post-pandemic?
Absolutely, Ibrahim, you put it really right at the right phrase, right? The pandemic has, before, even pre-pandemic, right? The direction for the importance of health and food is already there, is behind us, right? We've showed the critical importance, in terms of having research in innovative treatments, and also helping people to take better care of themselves and their personal health, right? And on the crop science side, with the resource intensive, agriculture, industry, right? It's more important, right, that we actually look at supporting the farmers so that they can have more effective and efficient solution, yeah, and at the same time, uh, not over draining our already, very challenging earth resources, right? So it is really very clear, yeah. So we don't see that slowing down, and that is why it's important very much, right, for us to pivot that, and in, like in pharma, right, we are already going into innovative treatments, yeah, with patients using telepharmacy on family planning to address high unmet needs, because this is an area that people are not open up to come out so easily. So telepharmacy works really well for them, and with our R&D pipeline focusing beyond pandemic, right? It's also like, in areas of peripheral artery disease, which is really important as well, and it's continuing to drive what we believe, yeah, it's in the health for all, yeah. And yeah, in terms of crop science, yeah, we'll continue to support the farmers with tools and solutions to generate better harvests and less resources, and so that they can put food, and harvest on the shelves, and people can get food on their table. Yeah, so these are things which are, going to be there, for I think it's going to go a long way here.
Bayer AG, of course, is a public listed company. We know the revenues, we know the kind of operating income that you guys have. But Bayer Malaysia is a Sdn Bhd. It's a private company. So I understand your limitations to answering my next question, which is on sales. Do you feel that you can share a little bit more about how sales are going to be like for Malaysia in the years to come? How has it been during the pandemic? Did you guys take an impact or a hit? And what's the next step for you guys? Are you guys going to be deep diving into R&D, for instance, at least in the Malaysian company?
Yeah. So I can give you a little bit on what's already, in the open, and also is already a bit of a 2020 achievement. Yeah. So last year, we in a very difficult environment, right? Our Bayer Consumer Health, I start with Bayer Consumer Health, right, was growing really well, because as you can imagine, right, we were able to tap on the increased demand for now, like nutritional products, right, and also the acceleration of e-com, right, so, and self-care solutions, right, because we had those solutions. So Bayer Consumer Health was one of the fastest growing consumer health company among the top 10 companies in Malaysia in 2020, and we improved our market ranking, right, from top 7 to top 5, yeah, as reported by a market research company IQVIA, based on 2020 results. So that was on consumer health, and the driver for that was really our, like I said, nutritional product, which is Redoxon, yeah, a vitamin C and zinc. We've had very effective, engaging plans to do that, right, which also strengthen our market position. We actually, we were there not just selling vitamin C, we were there to actually touch a bit on the purpose of us being there to support frontliners, because when you are out there, right, you need to protect yourself. I mean, just not just masking up. There's a need more on to strengthen your immunity, yeah. And we also had multivitamin brand like Baroka. Yeah, it's a energy energy multivitamin, yeah, which actually helps people doing work from home demands, right? Because you can imagine the lockdown caused a lot of
I
mental
mean,
challenges, right, and
the
energy.
moment you say that name, everybody, at least in Malaysia, lah, knows that you got a great product endorsement from Tun Mahathir himself. So that must be great for your business at that point in time, I suppose.
Yeah, that was something that was quite nice that we see was very social. Yeah, it was quite a bit of a luck there. Yeah, that somebody did that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
okay, you guys have impacted a lot in terms of society. There are contractors or people that might be criticizing Bayer as a company, but I want to focus a little bit more about the cultural impact as well. Now I don't know whether or not you can actually comment on this, but Bayer Leverkusen, one of the big football clubs in the Bundesliga, was formed by Bayer. I know I didn't pre-agree to this question to you, but do
No
you
worries.
feel that some cultural normalcy between corporate and social and therefore lifestyle is something that we don't normally see in corporates of today? Do you feel that this whole cultural impact must be rejuvenated, if anything, by the corporates of today?
I think definitely there's some room and opportunity to have that social bit, as part of engaging, and then also a side of the business that's just not about driving business results, right? So I think the Bayer Leverkusen, yeah. I mean, I'm not personally very close to that, yeah, because I think there are a lot of many football fans around, right? And Leverkusen itself has done really well, and to a certain extent, right, I think it benefits the company to look at from a other than work, right? We do have a social and a sports engagement, right? That can also help us engage with stakeholders, yeah. And I think we're really proud of that heritage, right? And today, I think it's still one of a very strong anchor when we talk to stakeholders on what we do from a employer branding point of view and from a sports and engagement and social engagement, yeah.
All right. So, Sukfan, my final question to you is this. We are entering a life in an endemic COVID. We are returning back to the offices. I myself have returned back to the office. But at the same time, the lessons learned through the pandemic of the 18 months or 19 odd months is a stark reminder of how quickly things can change for the worse. Do you feel that Bayer has some learnings that you want to share with us, with the market, with the audience, about how you guys think the way forward should be, not just as a corporation, but a corporation that is in life sciences, in crops, and in healthcare?
Yeah, first of all, yeah, thanks, Brian. First of all, I think the three business divisions, right, will continue, to be able to contribute, right, to the major concerns of the world and also in Malaysia, which is basically serving the two most basic needs, health and food. Yeah, that's what we do, and that's where our purpose of existing, right. And in it will not change, and because the pandemic has shown the importance of this part of our lives, right? And we will continue to support farmers. We'll continue to support doctors and pharmacists so that they can also, support the better health and better food for our people. And yeah, I think health for all, hunger for none will still be very much, and we will focus on innovation and growth and our strategic alignment, right, with our core activities in healthcare and nutrition to further drive progress in Malaysia and improve quality of lives of many Malaysians as possible. Now, having said that, from the workplace perspective, yeah, I think we will change fundamentally, and we will transform, right, to a new ways of working. Definitely, one thing is clear that we will not return to the old ways of working after COVID, right, or even as we move into an endemic, right. One of the experience that we have is a lot of flexibility will need to be adapted, yeah, to have an optimal framework to further facilitate greater flexibility at work. We have learned that at work, right, a lot of work can be done from home. Yeah, as long as we offer employees some flexibility on where and how they work. This means that we will continue to have work from home arrangement or even a hybrid going forward. Yeah, and we believe the office will, in future become a more collaborative environment, and but we have to give the right flexibility. Yeah, at the same time, we need to value employees' health and also let them have be successful and also make sure that they are also continue to be safe. Yeah. And then two learnings is also very important that with the pandemic, right, I think we are all now a little bit more what do you call uh, uh, we are a little bit more disciplined in terms of hygiene and safety, right? And there's some good habits that we instilled. which is good for us that we are less sick, and things like that. Cough and cold are lesser. So I think this needs to be continued. And yeah, last but not least, I think we are also more prepared than ever because having hit the crisis team, right, for almost more than a year, right, I think we now can manage and more prepared to take anything that in the similar challenges in future. Yeah.
Do you feel that if somebody accuses Bayer of being an old company, a company that might not be susceptible to change or nimble, particularly to employees, do you feel that that is a correct accusation to level against Bayer, or do you feel that you guys are actually extremely nimble and made for the modern world?
Yeah, I definitely will contest that, 100%. Yeah, Ibrahim. If you see where we are today with what we have done, how the company have actually transformed into a life science, right? And I mean, those who know Bayer used to be a very much of a chemical company, right? Like it was with aspirin, right? And I mean, to say that aspirin is still very relevant, but it also goes to show that when you have a history like that, right, you can still survive. I mean, not many company can be still relevant and still thrive over 150 years and still be able to move in that
Exactly.
direction. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my memory of Bayer is actually, as a kid, I see your trucks plying up and down the federal highway, chemical trucks. That's my memory of Bayer. But more than anything, I'm pretty sure a company like Bayer would have a greater significance moving forward in the realm of healthcare and lifestyle and crops. I think that food security is paramount. I think pharmaceuticals is going to be paramount. I think investing in this space is actually quite crucial, and therefore it's actually quite an honor to speak with Bayer and with you as well. But that was our conversation with Leong Sook Fun, the Managing Director of Bayer Malaysia. If you've missed any part of this interview, just head on to astroawani.com. Look for Bayer or look for Notepad over there. Until then, thanks very much for watching and goodbye. Sook Fun, thank you very much.
Thank you.